What's going on, everybody? This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. I hope you all had a fantastic day. Again, happy Valentine's Day. Again, if you're writing a little card for your sweetheart, William Wordsworth, guys, you got to read it. It's a surefire way to do some stuff. Looking at some stuff right now in the YouTube chat, in the den as well. We're going to talk about some of the equities people have brought up. X, that is very interesting what you said. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, first, welcome. Please consider giving this stream a like, as it helps us out a lot, gets us some exposure. Of course, if you're just watching for this hour, strongly recommend checking out Tommy O'Brien at 9 a.m. Of course, we have Basil afterwards, Steve Rhodes, and everyone knows Larry, of course. Let's take a look right now. We got going on with the SPY, trading up about 0.03% at 609.93. The composite trading about 0.27% at 20,000, cracking that 20,000 mark. Love to see it for the day. Dow Jones Industrial off about 0.31% at 44,574, with those Russell futures completely flat as it stands right now. Dollar coming off a little bit, okay? We're at 106.75. You got crude oil trading down about 0.93% at 70.63. And let's see, man. Gold's cracking just a little bit. Big bar to the downside on some pretty good volume, and we're not even closed yet. So you're off about 1.71% at 2,895. You have copper coming down as well. That has, of course, been one of the strongest metals, if not the strongest recently that we look at. You're off about 2.63% at $4.65. You know, I think really the theory and logic with copper is that you need these components, right, to just really build out these major data centers. Of course, that's not necessary when you use photonics, but we're not doing that yet, although I believe we will at some point in the future. You have, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well, because you have OpenAI, and this, I think we're starting to see some issues, or confirmation rather, of our thesis with NVIDIA, which is the GPUs are great, NVIDIA will still be a player, but we're going to be moving away from GPUs being the dominant chips, right? We can look at maybe how that composition, might manifest if there's, decent amount of GPUs operating, right? And then you use a few very specialized chips to really control the thing. But in a way, I almost feel like CPUs would be better to have large matrices of with those specialized chips. We'll talk about that, of course. Let's see right now. We got silver up about 0.07% at 32.75. Mike, I hope you are long right now. Let me get a GIF in the den if you are. Let's see right now. Celsius off about 0.62%, 22.52. JPM, yeah, Jamie, you had a phone call with Jamie Dimon and his employees get leaked, and he is beside himself with people demanding that they do work from home. You know, I'm weird on work from home in the sense that, like, at some points it maybe helps if you're doing, maybe you got to knock some stuff out or whatever in the morning or whatever it might be. But I mean, this is coming from someone who's in Gen Z, and this is probably an unpopular opinion with a lot of people my age. But when we were working in the office, you had Bestford, you had Tom in there. I mean, you could sit there and obviously, you'd get your work done, but this idea of the conversation flow, right? And Jamie Dimon really focuses on that word creativity. When you speak about it, you might say, like, okay, I mean, they're a bank, like what creativity is needed. And I actually think having creativity in finance, especially guys like these who make the markets and everything, is extremely important. I mean, it's really, really important, right? If you have a creative portfolio, you can get pretty freaky with it, and I like that a lot. So it's interesting. You have Disney up about 0.64% at 110.29. Lucid, man, I was anticipating kind of a knockdown from there. I think people are enjoying it, So, I mean, seeing this, right, expanding into Canada, I still think Chinese EVs are really going to dominate in a major way. I like the idea right now of adding Chinese equity, right? I mean, Baba, Baidu, Tencent, all these kind of things. This is a massive consumer base. I know there is that limitation that exists, right? They have a maybe not super open society. There's a lot of planning that goes on in it. There is some moderate liberalization on how consumers operate. They have a very large middle class. Of course, they are having a deflationary period, still growing, but deflating. But it's kind of to be expected a little bit, right? When the point of rapid inflation like that in these kind of economies is because you're going to get a middle class from that, right? And it changes, right? And it pivots. And these guys have more money now to buy. And listen, I know I can already see the comments, right? And it's like, well, actually, a lot of the young people don't have money, and there's issues with the government, and it's not super clear. And their economy is kind of shaky. America's is too. I mean, it really is, right? And so, you know, I've been speaking with some people that like this Chinese play. I mean, you're looking at Bob. I mean, we were even talking about it, right? I mean, we're looking at actually Bob X for a while, which is the Granite Shares Daily ETF. I mean, you can't argue with that move, right? I mean, we were looking at this right in the beginning of January, like it might make sense to pivot a little bit, right? And get some more exposure in China. And of course, the risk is always there that they say, hey, we're actually going to go hermit mode, you know, they're done. But there's also a movement that these guys have where they're trying to get a little bit more ingrained in the global realm, right? Like they're starting traditionally what China had always done, you know, even with oh man, what was that admiral, like Zhang or something like that back in the 1300s, and that dynasty in that time period, you know, they went out and they said, well, nobody has anything else to offer us, so we're going to close up. And China has, you know, a history of being relatively isolated, you know, and it seems like that concept is kind of changing, where they want influence around the world the same way that we do it. You know, they want to do it through mercantilism. And, you know, it's a massive consumer market where people are buying. I mean, I would argue, you know, a lot of why gold continued to go up is because China was buying so much of it, right? So anyways, you're looking at Bob actually up 8.26% today. That means Bob is probably roughly like, what, 4% or something like that. And I like it. I mean, we're looking at Bob at $99. Yeah, we're at $124 right now. You know, you would have done quite well. I think you're seeing some larger firms kind of see that too. People want exposure to this economy. And you saw them being a player. You know, on that point, right? I mean, X was bringing up Merck to add into that portfolio. Interesting part, right? Of course, you're getting a downdraft because RFK won. But, you know, one of the things that's happening, and we saw it with DeepSeek, although it's not the best you can get, they're, you know, iterating this stuff. One of Merck's biggest oncology drugs is under threat from a Chinese cancer drug that's far cheaper and, as they say, almost more, has higher, I don't know, effectiveness. Folks, you stay right there. We'll be right back. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we return.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin